Hello to everybody watching and listening, and once more, welcome back to some more Mechabellum, playing as Elite Specialist with Sledge and Crawler against Cost Control Specialist with Stormcrawlers and Crawlers. Yeah, Elite Specialist. He's... how should I put this? Sometimes you love him, sometimes you hate him. If he works out, he can work out really great and be absolutely oppressive to the opponent. And if he doesn't work out, all you do is feed levels and your opponent will carry Arclight you to death. Speaking of Arclights, my opponent is dropping 2, which I think is not necessarily for carry Arclight. It's just a very solid pickup in the first round if you're facing Crawlers and Sledges. I'm putting some additional level 2 chaff in the corners. And there actually is a good reason why I think that against Stormcrawlers, it's not even that bad to have level 2 crawlers from the get-go. And that's because they can get through fire easier in the later stages of the game. If they get a level, they will be level 3, and they will be able to go through fire pretty quickly. Now this salvo does have some hits, but it's not terrible hits. And the Arclight went down pretty quickly. On the other hand, on the other side, it's not looking that well. The Crawlers are definitely going for the Stormcrawlers and getting some XP. And on the other side, there's just tanks. And the tanks will eventually push through. There's not that many left, but under the tower debuff, they don't really care about Stormcrawler attacks anymore. The last tank does manage to take out the Stormcrawler. Though, to be fair, only because of the tower debuff, the tower degradation. Oh, I didn't see this. My opponent instantly invested into health. But that's definitely... no, it's definitely not enough health for the Crawlers to become two-shottable from the enemies, from the opponent's Arclights. So, in the next round, he invests into 3 tanks, and I start to drop some leveled Arclights, which is about as good a round as you can hope for if you are planning on going for carry Arclights. And I think carry Arclights are a good pickup for Elite Specialist. It saves you the 100 extra bucks all the time if you're dropping level 2 Arclights. And you kind of want level 2 Arclights because level 2 Arclights are just twice as good as level 1 Arclights. Who would have guessed? Unfortunately, they get distracted at the last possible moment, basically, and don't hit the tanks from the start. So, yeah. But it's not that big of a deal. My opponent's tanks do about 400 damage, and my Crawlers have 600 health here, so they will not be destroyed by just one tank shot. I think that would be the case as well if the tanks were normal tanks and not cost control tanks. Unfortunately, the Arclight goes down to the Stormcrawlers. Otherwise, it could have definitely eaten those Sledges very quickly. Tower goes down, and now I can eat all of these Stormcrawlers, but I don't really get to keep my carry Arclights. So I guess the Stormcrawlers do get a bunch of levels. The Crawlers are enough to clean it up by themselves. So, Assault Scorpion becomes an option. If you're trying on countering Arclights, both of these, I think, even Improved Fortress, I guess, are absolutely valid choices. Of course, there is not really knowing if I'm going for carry Arclights, simply because I dropped 2 Arclights. But starting with the next round, he's gonna see it. He's trying to counter it with mass tanks. And if I remember correctly, that is, that was the guy who I asked in chat if he thought that countering carry Arclights with tanks is working. And he said that, I think if memory serves, he had done it in the past. So I guess he wanted to try it out again. Personally, I think all you're really going to get is fed carry Arclights and then you die. But maybe I'm wrong. I think he was a player a fair bunch above me in MMR. By the way, these Crawlers have officially leveled, so even with fire on the ground, once it gives them Subterranean Blitz, they will just go through the fire and still soak a shot from the opponent's whatever he has. Range on the carry arcs definitely going nicely here. I am winning the chaff war, so I have a lot of time to shoot at my opponent's units. But I don't have infinite amounts of time, and the Stormcrawlers are starting to take this out. Same with the tanks. Whether or not maybe Charge Shot would have been a better option, I'm not sure. But my Arclights are leveling. And that is what counts here. Yep, even this Arclight levels. I just wanted to see. I guess it has a couple more Stormcrawlers to eat. At the end of the day, do I win this? Or do I not? I think I win this. Oh, it's actually a draw. Unit drops. Round number 4. Wasps. Yeah, they made the most sense for my opponent, so I got some wasps as well. I don't really want to build Mustangs into Sledges, so instead I went for the wasps. My opponent did sell something. What was it that he sold? Oh no, I sold something. I sold one of the Sledges, yeah. Now I remember. Instead, I started dropping some more Arclights, apparently. Get those Arclights numbers up. My opponent is getting oil. I am leveling these crawlers, alright. So they now take 3 shots from a tank to get destroyed. And if I subterranean them, it goes up to 180 and change. So yeah, it should be taking about 5 shots for the tanks to kill them then. Yeah, I just dropped carry Arclights this round, apparently. And get some upgrades. I think at this point, the upgrades are well worth it. The extra damage against the tanks should be doing nicely. So my wasps are much faster towards the front than my opponent's wasps. Which usually means that I'm at a disadvantage in this situation. Because my wasps will get killed and then I have no more anti-air and his wasps will kill everything I have. Basically, if that happens, the deciding factor is going to be whoever wins the chaff war. And I'm not winning the chaff war because my opponent has sledges, and sledges are very good, very heavy chaff. They are starting to really shred these level 1 tanks, but they won't stay level 1 tanks if they carry Arclights in that quantity. So far maybe I've been really lucky that the opponent's tanks didn't level a lot, but it's starting to get there. Now there is fortified Arclights. An absolute gift. I have to admit that I actually felt guilty. I didn't really want to put this out. I also wasn't sure if the reduced range was going to be worth it now that carry arcs will get less range with elite. I was really unsure whether or not that was going to work or not. Because having less range is scary, and if the opponent drops something like Scorpions, suddenly HP doesn't really matter all that much. I was interested to see if he's going to drop some fire on the Stormcrawlers to get rid of my chaff, which would be absolutely good for him, or at least a very decent choice. I put down a bunch of later wasps in the hopes of getting rid of his wasps. And yeah, we'll see how that round goes. His wasps did level, naturally. So these are definitely some pretty scary level 3 wasps. We also got some marksmen, apparently. They won't help with chaff clear, but they are pretty decent otherwise. Now these sledges, you can just see the impact of killing a bunch of crawlers. If the crawlers are level 3, that is. So the wasps are being cleaned up for the most part. They are also good against the marksmen because they keep distracting the marksmen. However, my opponent is pushing through on both sides basically. And my wasps will not be able to clean everything up. That much is for sure. I put an anti-missile device here that I'm losing now, so that was a net 100 loss for probably no or negligible gain. Let's just speed this up. I was unsure whether or not my opponent would be keeping the wasps, but he decided to keep them, and I think it's a decent choice. Both Scorpions and Fortresses a pretty good counter, but Fortresses also help me. Because I really like to play Fortress Carry Arc. And getting some anti-air missiles on the fortresses is also not a bad choice. I drop another fortress, and what else do I do? I'm not exactly sure what I did. Did I get shields already? I'm not sure. My opponent got the Scorpion, which I think is an absolutely fine choice, but you kinda need to give it at least range. Otherwise, you're going to be a bit in trouble, because all it really is HP and levels for the Arclights. Then again, I don't yet have charged shot, so they do a lot less damage than they could potentially do. He's going very heavily into shielded wasps, while I'm going into fortresses with anti-air, so I guess that is working out for me. He does not have range on the marksmen, but they stay 5 meters behind the tanks, so I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. The carry arclight AoE might just kill the marksmen when they shoot at tanks. The tanks really haven't gotten much levels for killing so many carry arclights, honestly. Maybe it's been mostly the wasps that have been hugging this glory. These are level 4 wasps on either side. They are properly scary. To distract his Stormcrawlers, I decided to drop some in the middle, but unfortunately he has it so far on the outside that it's not really being distracted well enough. Now there's an absolute ton of wasps here. My wasps in the middle at least are stronger, so I will be able to clean that up, but the wasps on the outside are apparently once again winning the war. That Scorpion, I think, is now shooting for the first time at a carry arc, and it's getting killed and dropping a lot of XP for these Arclights. The wasp fight over here is going in my opponent's favor because his wasps have twice the levels that I have. And the carry arcs are once again being killed, and it's starting to really look bad for me, because I don't have a lot more HP. When you're playing with carry arcs, HP kinda is a resource. And once you have managed to stabilize, you usually just continue on winning, and your opponent is really under pressure. My Arclights are starting to level, like these are level 4 Arclights, but I really would have loved for them to be higher level. My opponent is dropping loads and loads of marksmen. Yeah, he's using that junior manufacturing that I didn't get to the fullest. Now finally we see range on the marksman as well. I'm dropping another fortress. What else did I get? Ah, I got anti-air.